thank you so much again for being here today. I really appreciate you taking this time out of your day to speak with a high schooler like me.
Of course.
To start off, I guess, like, could you
Mhm.
just introduce yourself and tell a little bit about like yourself and like all that?
Yeah, of course. No, thank you as well for reaching out and doing the work. Like I said, I'm Valeria Ochoa. I'm a community organizer with Faith in Action East Bay. I was born in Mexico, but I was actually raised here, in Hayward. I've been, I was raised in the Bay Area and always only went away for college. I went to Davis, and double majored in psychology and sociology. Um, and then I graduated in the middle of the pandemic. So, and I have a graduation. I got to like look at a picture on YouTube and stuff. Anyway, I thought I was gonna go into law enforcement. My goal was FBI agent, but as I mentioned, I wasn't born here, so I'm a DACA recipient, which means I have different opportunities, um, and not the same privileges, as other people. But also a passion has always been, I guess, the not the criminal justice system, but the restorative justice system, and looking into that.
Mhm.
Uh, I lost a lot of people through, well, close friends, and loved ones through gun violence. So I realized that I wanted to be in law enforcement because of that. But that I wasn't really gonna be helping how I wanted to be helping. Anyway, that's a little bit of like my side of the working, um as to why like I'm organizing now.
Mhm.
But yeah, so I am a first generation college graduate in my family. Like I said, I have a younger sister who's also in high school right now. Um and have a little dog. I love sports as well. Um
What sport?
and have always played soccer. So I've played since I was younger too. So and still play for fun, but I'm not good. Not anymore.
It's fine.
So that's a little bit about myself.
And then what exactly is your role in like with Faith in Action East Bay?
Yeah. So I am a community organizer, which means I get to organize the community. So I basically get to meet people where they're at, primarily people that are not as privileged as what you would consider privileged folks. Um, so I meet with them, I talk with them, I get to learn their stories. I get to learn like what's affecting them. Um, I get to see, with them, like work alongside of them to create solutions for what they're going through. And at the end of the day, like people through stories and through getting to know each other, like they realize that what's impacting one person is impacting the same person because it's a systemic issue, right? Most of the time.
Yeah.
And together I get to guide folks towards solutions as a team. Like I'm not the one that advocates for them. I'm not the one that moves things or changes the laws or anything by myself, but
Mhm.
together we get to work towards changing, making changes together. And I just kind of like provide them tools, leadership development, things they that folks need to learn,
Mhm.
like from like something simple of um learning how to use the computer to like how to send emails to learning about laws, and learning about different issues. Like I could give an example, like with the school, the um the school to prison pipeline looks like, right? So learning issues like that and then seeing, okay, what within that system can we change to make things better for everyone? So that I kind of, I guess I am a guide. And I don't, a lot of people like to say like I like to be the voice for those that don't have a voice. I don't like that saying. I
Mhm.
would rather say that I encourage people to use their voice, to advocate for themselves. So that's a little bit about what I do.
Okay. And then For me, like this project is basically more around like gun violence, and I
Mm-hmm.
know like you work with little like gun
Mm-hmm.
prevention,
Yeah,
and it's like
yeah.
going back to the Faith in Action East Bay. Like,
Mm-hmm.
what does it work with communities to like address kind of like that problem?
Yeah. Yeah, so gun violence has always been a priority for Faith and Action East Bay. We were previously known as OCO, and so back in the day, this organization worked on what we know now as ceasefire, the ceasefire strategy. Um, so we're very much still involved in that. So we do organizing around that right now. So the way that we want to reduce gun violence in Oakland is through this ceasefire strategy, which basically um, has to have different components. There's a law enforcement component, there's a clergy component, and the community component of it. Um, Part of the component is um, pretty much offering people that are at risk of uh, either doing a shooting or being shot at.
Mhm.
Um, they are identified as those in high risk of doing either of that. And so folks do, I'm forgetting the term right now, but basically a clergy person, a law enforcement person, and a community person. Usually it's someone that has been in that lifestyle, that knows of the lifestyle, are part of what we call, I'm forgetting, so they go and try to look for those people. Sometimes it's really challenging to find them because they're usually never really home or they're always like out and about, right? And so it takes a while to get to these folks. But basically, what happens is folks get to talk with them
Mhm.
about the different options they have. Basically, saying put the guns down. You can get out of this, and we can provide you resources. And at the end of the day, if you don't, like, you're gonna end up in prison as well, or something, right? Like, but they give they give this option. And then so that's like part of like the law enforcement, all of that strategy.
Mhm.
What Faith in Action East Bay also does is what we call ceasefire night walks every Friday.
Mhm.
Um, so every Fridays, except for the first Friday, we go on ceasefire night walks. Um, and this is the idea of basically bringing the community together, and coming together as community, to pretty much create awareness and send out the message to put the guns down, and that we are here, like we love everyone,
Mhm.
no matter what you do and stuff, but we want everyone alive. So we do these walks to want to get to know the community, talk to folks, and send out that message, and we walk out of congregations as well, so that we usually try to hit what we call hotspots where the crimes or the shootings usually happen. So we can hit those spots, and they can see us out there, just seeing that we care, you know. So
Mhm.
that's basically what we're doing. The current work that, in addition to that, right, the current work that we're doing is, and our main work is organizing, right? So right now we are, and I'm not the organizer leading that work. There's my colleague, but there's some parts where I get to help with. But my colleague is guiding the organizing work around making sure that ceasefire is not defunded. Right, because there's a big budget deficit right now, and they need to figure out where to take money away from. So we want to make sure that this does not get defunded, so that there's an option and resources for those folks.
Mhm.
Um, and then making sure that it's fully implemented, and meaning that how the program is supposed to be structured should be structured so that it works, or not like lives are going to be lost. So we're currently working on that and pushing council and the mayor to make sure that that gets done.
Yeah. Mhm.
Yeah,
That's really important to kind
yeah.
of get involved with the community. And then kind of following up on like some of the challenges, what would you say are some of like the biggest challenges and advocating for like gun violence prevention?
Yeah. There's a couple. I would say like the main challenge, well, the biggest challenge that everyone's gonna talk about right now is the budget deficit. So they're gonna claim that there's no money and stuff like that. Which there is not money, but there is money that could be rerouted to things that work and that are for the community. Um, so that's gonna be one, just getting the council to be on board, enough of them to make sure that we get the votes so that this stays fully funded and implemented. That's one challenge because in organizing, like if you don't have the votes, if you don't get to like move these
Mm-hmm.
council members or political officials, like you're not gonna really get nothing done. And another one is just getting the community involved, especially the Latinx community. We tend to not really be involved in stuff. Like there's always white folks, there's a little bit more of black people coming out than Latinx folks too. Just getting more community involved sometimes is a challenge too. Um, and then I think the last one would be right now, like we're in this critical moment of what we would say like the leftist, the liberals, and then the conservatives, right? Like it just seems like everything's so polarized in terms of like just there's division, right? And it seems like the left community and the right community does not get they can't seem to agree with anything.
Mm-hmm.
And then just like making sure we're really explaining what we mean, and send out the message of like coming together to like really be for all and for like saving lives and everything is the challenge. Because you're gonna find folks that, want to defund the police and then the folks that like want to keep getting more police. And it's like, we have to come to terms in the middle because not everyone's gonna get everything right.
Yeah.
Um, yeah, so I think those are like the three big challenges there for sure.
Mhm. I know like issues like poverty and like
Hmm.
racial justice often make the gun violence problem even worse.
Yeah.
So like how do you see those like systems kind of intersecting with like
Mhm.
gun violence in your within your like workspace or work?
Yeah, I mean, it intersects all the time. Like I said, part of why I got involved in what I wanted to do was because of that. Like even in my personal experience, like I grew up in South Garden, Hayward, like that was known back in the day as like a gang member neighborhood, poverty neighborhood, right? So like I lived in it. I still live here, right? So like just knowing that people are trying to make it, like young folks are
Mhm.
trying to make it out. Like they're trying to help their parents and provide, and they might not know otherwise. And we don't have the same opportunities that what that rich folks will have, right? And so relying in going into violence, going into other things that are not, I guess, the ideal things. That's what leads it. I think like if we were to have more resources, more programs, like um we'd be changing the world in so many ways, right? Like we're smart, like we have the capacity to do it. It's just that we don't have the resources, and people sometimes um all the only option they have is relying on violence.
Mm,
That's all they know, right?
mm,
And sometimes like you have to see like, am I gonna eat? Like is my family gonna eat today? Or
mm,
do I have to go rob something to make sure my family eats?
mm,
Right?
mm,
Um, and so we see a lot of those stories as well. And then there are some people that just um that's how they grew up. Like it's a generational thing sometimes.
mm.
And just how do they break the cycle if that's the only thing they know?
Yeah.
And that's part of the work that we have to do, right? Like making sure there's enough resources for people to have other options and other programs. And that's why we got to keep doing the work. But yeah, it's definitely rooted. I mean, there's so many systemic things that make us and even within the system, like once you're in prison, like you're more likely to go back in because you're gonna be profiled.
Yeah.
And you're not gonna have those opportunities like once you're out of the system, like it's hella hard to get housing,
Mm,
right? And so there's different components in the system that is gonna make someone that brown or black folk that are poor in poverty um end up in the system or dead,
mm,
you know.
yeah. And then with all that kind of like in mind, what do you think in
Hmm.
your kind of like opinion is like the most effective way to address like these roots, the roots causes of gun violence?
Yeah. I think like resources, they like it's so important also right now. Housing is so expensive.
Mm,
Um, like just having stability around housing, having stability of being able to make enough money to like afford things, like mental health resources, right? All these resources should be in the communities before anything. Sometimes like there's the mental health aspect of it. They get it until they're in prison, and it's like that they're gonna like go crazy in there, and then the mental health stuff sucks in the prisons. It's like give those resources before they end up in prison, right? Before anything or before they end up unhoused. So yeah, just making sure. And then there's some systemic stuff that needs to change, like within laws that have been rooted in history, that have to change as well. Yeah, so there's a lot of like there's still a lot of like racism and other stuff that's rooted in our system, that is seen in laws that have has to change as well.
yeah. And kind of like get like a like your opinion on the topic surrounding gun control. What is like your kind of position?
Yeah, there needs to be gun control. Like there is um like we hear all the time all over the news about mass shootings and stuff, but we never like, and we hear here and there
Yeah.
shootings that keep happening. Like it's hella normalized in Oakland, just another shooting, right? It's super normalized. Um, and then control conversations come though until there's a mass shooting in a school, a movie theater, and it does not happen when there's black and brown folks dying in the streets. Like if you pay attention to that, like conversations around gun control don't come. It's kind of just talks about the history of the person. Were they doing this? Were they doing that? But like gun control is never part of the conversation. But I think that's a really big thing that we need in this country, gun control. Or else our black and brown folks are gonna continue to die in the streets.
Yeah. And then like kind of going back to that kind of subject.
Yeah.
What kind of changes do you believe would have the biggest impact on reducing gun violence? And why do you think
Mhm.
those changes are the most important to address?
Yeah, I think gun control is like the biggest change that needs to happen. Like harsher laws that make sure that people are going through the right
Mm,
thing, screenings and stuff to be able to get a hold of guns. And then seeing like how people are getting guns, especially is pretty important as well. Like I said, just like bringing in the resources before anything, um, bringing in things young folks are able to do like more programs, more sports, more like computer science stuff, like more of that into our community. And yeah, I think for sure. I don't know if you've heard of ghost guns,
yeah.
but ghost guns are going around a lot in communities in poverty cities that are like Oakland, like Hayward, right? And so seeing why those are out there, and it's not just because people like to have guns all the time, but it's like the NRA and all those rich people want us to have guns. That makes them money. So like demilitarize the country. We
Mhm.
don't need a big to have all these weapons. We don't need it.
Yeah, it's really overwhelming about how like big the issue is.
Yeah.
And to
Yeah,
kind of
it's
like
super big.
to end on like a hopeful kind of note,
Mm,
like what kind of like is your vision for the future of like the East Bay? And
mhm,
how can people, especially like students like me and faith
mhm.
communities, help make that vision kind of like a reality?
Yeah. I think like my vision and the vision of everyone from Faith in Action and in general, I would say, um, to have zero murders in Oakland and throughout the East Bay. Um, and that keeps decreasing. Like this year, that number has gone down. Now that ceasefire is fully implemented, and we want to keep that number to decrease. Um, and to just like I said, keep saying, have more resources for our communities and be able to live, um, be able to walk outside without being scared to like getting shot or getting robbed or getting their car hit or pippin or whatever they call it, right? And yeah, like our community, young folks like you guys especially, have to get involved in organizations like ours. Um, like I had so much energy as a, I'm still pretty young, but like as a college student, high school student, like I didn't know avenues of like what I could do. I kind of was just like, oh, my only option is getting a higher education and that's how I'm gonna change it. But not knowing that there are people out there that are doing something about it right now, that you could do something about it, you can learn and organize, and even if you already get a job or go to college, like you could
Yeah.
still do something about it and plug into the work. um yeah, and I think like activism, awesome, do it, like go protest, go do it, but at the end of the day, organizing is what makes things change and laws passed and stuff like that. So I would encourage folks to really get um do something, not just like tweet about it or post about it, right? But um yeah, getting involved for sure.
Okay. Well, thank you so much. That was really like
Yeah.
informational and inspiring. Well, it's like really encouraging to me, like as a student, to kind
Yeah.
of like have like a role model kind of follow, and like the real change is kind of within our community.
Yeah, definitely.
Again, I want to say thank you for speaking with me,
Of course.
high schooler.
No, of course, thank you. And yeah, whatever, like if you ever want to learn anything else or anything comes up, feel free to let me know as well.
Mhm.
Yeah, there's there's a village out there.
Do you want to ask me any questions?
Um, yeah, I guess like why is it a class of in general that chose this topic, or was this topic that you chose, and if you chose it, why?
This topic was I chose it for like for me because
Hmm.
I've experienced gun violence,
Hmm.
whether it's like a classmate or an actual friend.
Hmm.
Because this year,
Hmm.
uh, one of my friends, I think, died to gun violence,
Hmm.
and then this year, a sophomore, which
Hmm.
I kind of know him, but like,
Hmm.
so I kind of like he was still kind of a big part of like our
Hmm.
school.
Yeah.
He was actually he was actually killed going to soccer practice.
Hmm.
I forgot which street, but like
Yeah.
around like close to the school.
Hmm.
So it kind of like prompted me to like chase
Hmm.
after this social justice issue.
Yeah. Yeah.
And not knowing like in Oakland, especially in Oakland, not
Hmm.
knowing if I can secure safety,
Hmm.
because like I would have to like look around everywhere,
Yeah.
make sure I'm safe,
Yeah.
especially because I also go on bar sometimes.
Hmm.
That's kind of like a scary area over there, and they're kind of like I wanted to jump into the
Hmm.
gun control, like gun
Hmm.
violence prevention.
Yeah. Yeah, thank you for sharing. And yeah, I know of like dead beings passing, and I'm actually the organizer at the time that organized the ceasefire walk, where kind of became a big like walk.
Mm.
Um, that I tried to try my best because there's so many people, but which was beautiful to see. Like not for the reason, but just the
Yeah.
community coming together. Um, but yeah, so I was the organizer that helped with that while my colleague was away.
Mm.
And what was your name, your other friend's name? And it was this year you mentioned?
Yeah. Derving.
Oh, okay. Yeah. Yeah,
Mm.
yeah. I'm so sorry for your guys' loss. And yeah, we're working on it. We're trying, and I feel I hope that at some point, like if you guys do want to do more,
Mm.
feel free to reach out because like I said, we're trying to organize around this. And we definitely have to put your guys' stories out there to let people know like, hey, this is what our communities need, like more resources. Um, and making sure that your guys' voices are heard as well. Because it impacts you guys as like the young generation, your guys' mental health and all of that. We want you guys to be successful.
Mm. Well, thank you. Thank you.
Yeah, of course.